Say that one more time.
3,356 straight days.
And what is that?
That's how many days in a row I worn my rain spooner. Got a brand new one here. Brand new.
And you
California.
Look the
Really?
California
Wait, no.
Golden
rain
Gate Bridge.
spooner.
No. You went to a funeral or a wedding or something. You weren't wearing a
That
rain
one's too
spooner.
nice.
No. I wore my suit to the actual funeral, but I had on a rain spooner before and after.
Or underneath.
Or underneath. No, not underneath.
So consecutive days.
Yeah.
By the way, we've gotten started. San Luis Obispo Real Estate Podcast with the man himself, Hal Sweasey. How are you?
I'm great, James. Thank you.
And the king of rain spooner shirts that has 120.
No, like 60 or 70.
Oh,
but this is a new one. I got three new ones this week.
Okay. JT, how are you, sir?
I'm great. Are you kidding me? Get to hang out with you?
Straight days, though.
Straight days.
How many straight days have you worn?
3,356.
I didn't forget
That's
about
10
Bobby.
years.
It's since the day you sold my house in San Luis and I moved to the beach.
Gentlemen, we're forgetting about Bobby. Bobby, how are
I
you?
love that story. I'm going to start wearing the same thing every day and see if anyone notices. Could I get away
Well,
with
it's not the same thing. It's a different shirt.
Yeah.
that? I thought it was the
Guys-
same shirt every
guys
time.
don't
I'm
notice.
sorry.
No.
I thought that was your signature shirt.
They-
It's a different shirt. It's
They
a new
look the
shirt.
same.
Brand
They
new
do.
one.
It's the same vibe, Jake.
God, you're hurting my feelings, Bobby. Come on.
What was the progression of this plan? Was it I'm moving to the beach, I'm wearing rain spooners from here until eternity, or did it just kind of manifest into this thing where you're like, I did it for a year.
I
might as well keep it going another year.
I moved to the beach when I was 18 to go to college in Newport Beach. And I started wearing rain spooners and had them ever since. And but once I got out of having to wear a coat and tie every day, it was every day I'm wearing a rain spooner.
It's a celebration. I love that.
Yeah.
Good for you.
So, Rain Spooner, if you're listening, if you'll send us all a shirt.
They have three different shirts.
I'm gonna start-
He just
yeah.
rotates them a
Well,
lot.
according to Bobby, there's one shirt. There's just one shirt.
Bobby hurt my feelings. I
Yeah,
wanted
you
to
said they
know.
all look the
I'm
same.
going to start checking Goodwill to see if I can find those
No,
anywhere for you.
You can get them on eBay.
I'm going to tag them, and if they do send us shirts, we'll all wear them, and then we'll advertise
That's
them.
right.
There you go.
Yeah, I
And
kind
just
of want one.
FYI, Rain Spooner, we are the top 100, business podcast.
podcast,
Yeah, there ever was.
Okay.
Maybe a lot more sponsors.
Let's talk about real estate.
All right, what are we
Come
doing?
on.
JT.
Hey, Hal sent me an article, and it kind of jumped out at me, and I thought I'd share the premise of the article and see where that takes us here today. Okay,
Let's do it.
And kind of the headlines are the real estate industry shows signs of a reversal. So when you hear that
Yeah.
statement, what do you think?
I got excited. I thought prices were going down. I did.
Sounds like bad
It
news.
sounds like a negativity to me. Yeah, signs of
Yeah,
reversal.
but to your point, Bobby, I think if I'm a non-real estate person out there in the public, I'm thinking, this is the time for me to get in the market, right? And I read the headlines of that article, I'm going to get excited because I'm going to think the same thing. Rates are coming down.
We're going back in time.
Yeah. So when we talk about the real estate market, I think your predecessor, Jay, taught us this. If we didn't already know it, maybe he taught me. You probably knew this already, Hal. That there are really two different markets when you talk about real estate, right? There's the market that we think of most likely out in the public space, and that's pricing. But there's another market, and that's the number of transactions. That's the activity in the market. And so I think what this article was saying, and you're the one who sent it to me, Hal, is the reversal in the market is more about the number of transactions. Is that right?
Yeah, and the supply of homes, right?
Right,
if you're a
directly
consumer
related, yeah.
If you like eggs and there's not many eggs, guess what? It's kind of a bummer.
You're not going to be eating eggs.
Yeah, and you'd like to have a little more choice and more eggs, right? So housing is like that. So the headline caught my eye, and I read the article. Unfortunately, it was very short, so it kept my attention the whole time. So that's why we're going to cover it today.
So number of transactions.
Yes.
Are we starting to, 2021 was the biggest transaction year in the last 5, right?
Yeah, or
And-
more.
And 2022 and 23 were
way lower.
substantially lower.
Yes.
And this year, what do you think?
Well, yeah, we're showing signs of increase. We're seeing more homes on the market, but can we put a graph on this?
We can, and be specific. When you say we, you're talking about the county, you're talking about our team.
This is nationwide.
Yeah,
This is a
nationwide.
national.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
what I'm asking Hal is,
Yeah.
what are we seeing here? just in his office. The data is nationwide, but I'm asking Hal's opinion locally.
Right.
Right. So countywide, and Bobby's got a broader view than I do. I mean, for the company, but our team, the sales are up and the volume is up in terms of dollar volume.
Yep. Yeah,
Yep.
we talked about that on the market stats. We are
Yeah.
increased.
Do you know, if you were to guess, what percentage are we in the total number?
Don't ever ask me
No,
for
don't ask
percentages.
you that. What do you think we are up here in this office? 20%,
Oh,
maybe?
From
10? I thought you already.
No, I think it was 10. It's gonna be
20% in terms of the number of transactions.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought-
okay.
Because we're talking about transactions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I get that.
up from the previous year.
Yeah,
From
if we
over
Yeah, we
look at
were-
year over
year to year. Yep.
Yeah, we were
I-
up 10. I think we talked about that earlier
Yeah,
before.
so
we
we're
were
up
about 10%.
20% in transactions and 10% in pricing.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Prices are higher, 10%.
So what's, one of the biggest variables that drive the overall real estate market is what?
Interest rates,
Interest rates. What else?
supply of homes.
Is not, supply of homes, or what we refer to as inventory.
Right.
So what's inventory doing countrywide and locally?
Well, it's going up, but if I look at that sheet of paper on the second page of that article, I mean, it's funny because it's interesting because when rates started to go up, everybody assumed prices would fall, right? And so existing home sales have fallen, but prices haven't by any means, right? And we have been since 2006, this is near the bottom of a long curve, right? Can I show this here? Yeah. Anyway, so the number of homes.
I'll put it on the screen. I'll put it on the screen. You don't have to hold it up, Al. Yeah.
Hold it up,
I mean,
Hal.
if you hold it up, it's cool.
We have
this-
better
If you're
technology.
listening,
Technology.
the arrow's going down.
We have better technology.
That's
It's
yeah.
significant.
Remember, he
Yes.
told us a couple weeks ago he started before the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Yes.
Everybody,
So-
please watch our market update.
And then I have a
technology.
slide rule I can show.
Yeah.
So the point of the article is an increase in inventory, which we've just been talking about because we've had a nice little bump up,
Yeah.
is very healthy for the marketplace.
Yeah.
Sales is good for the economy because every time a home sells, there's a lot of people that are put to work and a lot of things that happen, right? So it is a healthy sign for the real estate economy and the economy. in general.
Every time a Team Swayze has a transaction, they get a gift card, so they'll definitely go out to eat. That's for sure.
Yeah, escrow officer, home inspector,
Yeah.
lender,
Yeah.
title insurance, underwriter from the loan.
Yeah.
Gosh, who else? Sometimes there's painting, there's carpeting.
Shopping.
I-
Come on.
Shopping.
Filling that house?
Shopping.
Yeah.
Shopping again.
Yeah.
I think we counted one time a few years ago, dozens of people get employed
Yeah.
with the sale
Yeah.
of one
Yeah.
house.
Huge for the economy.
But,
for the
Bobby, you said something off the air a few minutes ago. I think it was off the air that your perspective when you started seeing interest rates go up was what most people thought, and that's that prices had come down.
There was hope. It
There
was,
was
a,
hope.
It was
Yeah.
a hopeful thought.
Yeah.
Yes. Or at least that the prices would stay.
Yeah, I have
Yeah.
lots of friends who'd love to buy too, and they're waiting for prices to go down. And I try to coach them. I go, I don't see data right now. I want that to happen too.
Yeah.
But I don't see any data.
It doesn't
that
look
would
like it's
suggest-
coming.
And interest rates have never been correlated to pricing in our history. When interest rates were up in the, when was that, Hal? When they were double-digit interest rates in the early 80s, late 70s?
Early 80s.
Yeah.
Yep.
In that era,
Yeah.
what happened to prices?
They still
They
went
still
up.
went
Yeah,
up.
interest rates are 15%, and prices are going through the roof.
Yeesh.
So we don't necessarily correlate interest rate and prices, although we were hopeful.
Right.
But the inventory didn't cooperate.
Yep.
So
Yeah. So this article said we've had the biggest jump in March in home sales, which usually means better home sales because of the inventory.
yeah,
So we are seeing a turnaround in the dip in the number of home sales.
right.
Yeah.
And Ben said last week he's got tons of buyers in the queue.
Right.
And he and I had the conversation about, what's it mean if interest rates go down to pricing?
Right.
And we all think that if interest rates go down, prices are going to do what?
Because of the demand and because buyers will jump in the marketplace, yeah, the prices will likely, there'll be upward pressure on prices for sure.
Like,
So I'm going to ask myself the question then, James. When's the best time to buy real estate?
yesterday.
And the answer is always yesterday, and the
Yeah.
second best time is always today. So I would urge people that are on the fence and they're looking at the only variable that's stopping them from buying is the interest rate. You might want to consider biting the bullet if you can afford it.
You're giving me a direct
I know.
look on this
I've
conversation.
noticed
See that?
that,
He
yeah.
just like
Oh, I'm
locked
looking
in.
at Bobby too.
I know. We're trying.
Yeah,
We're trying.
you both know this, and I'm going to say everybody else. It's not just rates for me. There's other variables.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I'm getting there.
You got to pay for a wedding and all that.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
Yeah.
but, never mind. I won't put that on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Calm down, John.
I'm
He means
getting
that because he
fired up.
loves you. Yeah.
No, I know.
Getting all fired up.
And no, I appreciate. No, so keep the heat on, JT. I'm good with that. You know that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
'cause it's your accountability meeting.
that's right.
Yeah.
It is.
Okay, find
So-
him something off market then. Let's go.
He found me something, Bobby. I'm not telling you about it.
Well, send it to me if he doesn't
Yeah.
want it. Come on.
Yeah.
I know. I
No.
learning that Bobby's in the same predicament. It's going to be
No.
interesting to watch the good, bad, and the ugly standoff
It's in Shelby
with the two of you. I know.
Stop right now.
I know you guys both love the same community, and I'm like, oh, when I heard that news, watch out.
He knows exactly what I'm talking about.
House sharing.
So basically, the takeaway from this article is really if we went up to Cal Poly and took Economics 101, it's a lesson on supply and demand, right?
Yeah, when's a good time to buy? You know, it's interesting. I was just listening to a pretty sharp financial guy talk about it, and the opportunity to buy businesses. Right now, because a lot of baby boomers are retiring. You have existing businesses, and he goes, the best time to buy a business is now because when you buy a business, you're working your tail off for at least 2 or 3 years. I don't know why it's taken me 30 years to still figure this out, but at the end of the day, it's get that out of the way while you're young, right? And learn your lessons. And I thought it was just a really interesting thing to say. And along the same lines, another guy was saying, if you unwind your 3 worst financial decisions that you made, your worst 3, how much better off would you be? And a lot of the decisions were like, I didn't do something.
Yeah.
Right. I remember listing a
Fear.
property. There was a triplex and a house next door, and the price was, I was like, oh, that seems like a lot, but boy, the rents are good, et cetera. I mean, or properties you sold. And I realized most of my worst decisions came from fear.
Yep. Totally can.
Like, oh, I better sell this now. Things look bleak. I better sell this property. Huge mistake. We'll dip in the short term or whatever. So it's interesting how a lot of this just becomes taking that leap. But there's so much data. I've heard John pound into my head, and I'm in the real estate business, but it's like 95, how many years in a row? I mean,
Of
there's
the
very
last
few.
70 years, 90% of them, home values have gone up in this country and 10% have gone down.
Yeah. And if you're going to diversify and you're going to
Yeah.
win, and it only matters if it goes down, if you don't do anything, it makes 0 difference.
Yeah.
Right. In those couple of years.
right.
So I think whether it's investing in a home or it's yourself or a business or real estate, it's get in, learn it, and it grows.
Yeah.
My biggest financial mistakes have always been getting out of something too soon,
Yeah. Yeah.
But the Cal Poly slogan is "Learn by doing," right? So
Sure.
just get in and learn while you're doing it.
Nobody
Just gotta
knows
tackle it.
how hard it is when they start.
Right.
But guess what? You figure it out.
Yeah.
My kids had no idea how hard kindergarten was going to be. But once they got in there, they look back and they go, that wasn't that bad.
No big deal.
Now I'm still tormented. But yeah.
You helped me sell my house in 2015 here in town, and I didn't know where I was going to go next, and I was scared to death of not being in the market. So what'd we do? Even though I was renting a place while I was figuring out where I'm going next, I was so scared that the market was going to take off without me that I bought income property so that I could hedge until I found the place that I wanted to live in.
That's a
Right.
commitment to time in the market versus timing the market. Seriously.
Yeah.
But
I need to I need to have some real estate,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Different
because
than I
you
need
see-
another credit
You
card.
see that happen though. You see people stay out for too long and then have to fight so hard to
Right.
get back in. I mean, that's a reasonable fear.
Yeah.
That one.
yeah, so get in and stay in,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
That was one of the lessons from a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
So how we were talking about before we hit the record button, which James, you did that very well this week.
Thank you. I tried.
Did you hit it?
I'm looking at
This
it.
is live. Okay.
It
good.
is. It's-
That there were a couple lessons learned out there in the marketplace
Yeah.
that we learned in dealing with transactions every day, and we thought might be good for the our listeners to hear a couple of stories that might help them make better decisions going forward. You want to share the first one?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I feel for it. I mean, we had a situation where somebody was getting their house ready for sale. It's definitely coming up on the market. And the owners allowed a buyer to come take a look, and it sounded like a good fit, and it was. And you know, the seller was asked, hey, would you consider an offer before it hits the market? Yeah. So the buyer made an offer, but the buyer made an offer below the price that was come on the market from, right? And if I'm talking to a seller and I say, well, I mean, you can do whatever you want, but you won't know what it's really worth till it hits the market.
Right.
So you can say it's more convenient. I don't want people in my house, and this could have applied in this situation. And that could be worth something to someone. But you know, you could be leaving tens, if not $50,000, $100,000 on the line, on the table by not doing so. So you know, or just say, okay, well, for me not to have other people look at it, I'm willing to offer it at this price, which might be a little bit higher than you were planning to come on the market for. Okay, so the buyer offered a little bit less. Seller didn't budge at all, right? And buyer said, okay, well, I'm going to step back, and it went on the market, and then it got multiple offers, and now it's higher, right? So they could have got it cheaper by acting in the beginning. And I totally get it. Like a seller, you know, you go, am I going to get more later, or is it going to be worth less later? You take those risks, and sometimes it doesn't work out. And in this case, for the buyers, you know, as of this recording, it hasn't finalized, but they missed out on what it could have been a good opportunity, right? And by waiting.
Yeah.
And I mean, I understand how they feel. You don't know. And at the same time, a lot of times you get like in this case, you'd get an appraisal, and they're going to verify things, and you have some opportunities. But sometimes you just need so much proof. And now the next time they look at a house, they'll probably just grab it, you know, as soon as they can.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, if you were fast forwarding 20 years from now, do you really think you'd remember whether you paid $750,000 or $800,000 for the house that's now worth $2 million?
No.
So what happens sometimes is people get wound up in I'll call it a competition.
Yeah.
You know, rather than going, okay, we found a house that we like. We can see ourselves living there. There aren't many of those on the market. We have a chance to lock it up today at a rate, at a price. It wasn't quite the price we were hoping for,
And we can afford it.
and we can afford it.
We can
right?
afford the payment.
Yep.
Don't get caught on the price too. It's
Yeah.
what is this costing you every month? That's the part, trying to shift that thinking.
And I heard the frustration from the buyer's agent,
Right.
who was trying to coach these people to go, you've got this. This house is yours. And
That hurts your heart. Yeah.
the buyer's agent was heartbroken, not because he lost a sale. He was heartbroken for his client that he grew to care about, you know? I mean, so that was a lesson learned this week so if you find a place and you can lock it up in this market,
Yeah.
lock it up.
Yep.
You're
It's still the
probably,
case.
you know, I would say with 100% confidence, 20 years from now, you're going to be glad you did,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
He's looking at you again.
No, I was looking at you.
He's
I was
locked-
looking at
he's
you.
locked in. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm cross-eyed. You don't know who I'm looking at.
Lock it up, JD.
So there was another one. Do you remember the other one, Hal?
Oh, yeah. Well, that was an investment property. And this
Okay.
property had been on the market for 6 or 7 days. Buyer looked at it and
liked it.
waited and liked it, and it was a fit. And it was like we sold, you know, this property for a family friend or family member, moving the money closer here as an investment. Property was great, perfect fit. Some price range was all good, and they kind of waited, and then they put their offer in. And then by the time they were getting a response, and they offered it a little bit lower, trying to save $10,000, and now it's going to be, you know, multiple offers suddenly come in right after a week. That can happen.
Yep.
And whether they 20,000, I don't know the exact details. I know the property, but I don't know the specifics. It's going to cost them extra at least.
Yeah,
what,
they were a
20 or
few
30?
$1,000 apart. But again,
Yeah.
you know, I think one of the lessons learned here with both these stories is you employ a knowledgeable and expert local market agent who's advising you, like, if you want to get the property, this is probably your best avenue to get it by taking these steps, and you ignore them
Yeah.
as a buyer, and it's many times going to cost you money, or it's going to cost you the property.
Yeah.
In this case, multiple offer situation, they still may get the property, but
Right.
they're probably going to pay more for it because they waited a week to write the offer than to, and that's one thing I was asking a newer agent the other day. I go, how much does it cost a potential buyer to write an offer?
That's a trick question for
It
real
is a
estate
trick
professionals.
question.
Nothing.
It doesn't cost
It doesn't
anything.
cost
No.
you anything.
Right.
And when do you have to even deliver your deposit?
Within 3 days.
Yeah.
Usually 3 days, right? And how long does it take after you write the offer to get a response?
Can be 2 or 3 days easy.
A day or two?
Yeah.
Maybe 3?
Yeah.
So we're talking about writing an offer that costs you nothing, getting a few days to get a response, then having a few days to make your deposit into escrow. And even if you make your deposit into escrow, you build into the contract that you're not totally locked into this property until you do your due diligence, right? So why do people delay even writing an offer and taking a chance of not getting it? They can decide later if they really want it or not,
Yeah.
can't they?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's
Am
fear.
I barking up the wrong tree here?
No, I think it's I think it's just human nature, and I mean, I've made bad decisions by trying to save a few bucks. Oh well, this is a little bit cheaper. Let's give this a try, and it's like, well, that didn't work out very well. I should have just paid the extra, whatever.
Right?
And over time, it doesn't matter. I mean, how many times have you felt like, boy, I paid too much for that dinner for all these people or something like that, or whatever it was, and you get it, and once you finish what you spent your money on, you move on and you figure out how to get the next time. I mean, it happens to me to this day, right?
Yeah, it's the game
So I
though.
get
And
it.
I've had clients like that too, where you have to constantly remind them, I know it feels good to win. We're all going to win at the end because you're going to get into the property. But trying to remind them not to get caught in that, I want to play this game and wait a week to see what I can do. It's like, if it's something that really matters to you, just get involved.
We have to redefine what winning means.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
It's not like, I got the seller for a little bit less. It's like, I got the house that I want.
Right.
Right? Yeah.
We're talking about instant gratification versus delayed gratification. I know if I get the house that 30 years from now, no matter what happens, I am a huge winner.
Yeah.
And I'm probably going to win all along the way, but I know for sure if I'm willing to delay my gratification for a few years, I'm going to guarantee myself a win.
Oh, but houses like cars. Well, cars aren't my deal, but anyway, for some people, you walk in, you got it. It's nice. You get the gratification right away when you get a house.
Yeah, you
Somebody
do, you
finds
do.
gratification in that. Yeah.
But we all, you brought up the word fear a couple weeks ago, and no matter how seasoned we are as a buyer, every property I've ever bought in my entire life, I had fear at the time of closing. Did I make a good decision?
Right.
And every single one but one was a good decision.
Yeah. So what is that? 12 and 1, 22 and
Yeah, but I think I shared
winning
this a few weeks ago. I bought a lot in the high desert for 40 grand, and 3 years later sold it for 30 because I thought I was going to build a spec house.
Yeah.
And if I would have kept the lot, I'd have done okay.
Yeah.
Because it's not worth 20 now. It's
Right.
worth substantially more.
Yeah.
But I made the mistake of getting out of it.
Coulda, shoulda, woulda.
Yeah.
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 We've all, yeah.
All right. Anybody want to share anything else with us for this fun podcast that we got going on?
Oh, let's put fear and doubt away. Yeah.
Put fear and doubt.
Let's go
away.
have fun.
Trust your stuff.
Yeah.
Isn't that from Bull Durham?
Trust your
Your stuff.
You would know. You're the Bull Durham
go
king.
get them. Let's
Yeah.
go.
33,356 days. How many
Let's
days?
go.
All right. Let's do it.
Hey,
Yeah.
these shirts are going on a road trip now.
I
Rain,
like it.
Rain Spooner.
Yeah, we're
well done.
going to Tahiti next week.
Jeff, we got it. Let's
go.
do it.
Good
Let's
for
get
you.
Rain Spooner to sponsor this podcast.
Is
Yeah.
Rain Spooner a perfect?
Okay, it's in the
do it,
works. It is in the works. I've reached out to him, but I've
Ooh.
still yet to hear back from
To
him.
get a
But
response.
to be honest with you, I'm not very aggressive with
I
it.
have to send him a picture of my closet.
There you go.
Yeah, more props. I need more props in my
More
argument.
props.
Yes.
All right.
Okay,
Awesome.
guys. See you in a
Gentlemen,
couple of weeks.
Thank you very much. Bobby, thank you for being here. Jeff and Hal JT. Everybody, we'll see you next week.
Thanks, James.